We're learning the Sikha in Tazria, Mitzayre, Chelik Chav Beis. We're up to Sif Ches. It's on page 75. Okay, so until here, the Sikha that we learned was all a Hakdama to the Iker. The Rebbe discussed the names of the Pasha, Tazria, and Mitzayre. Here, the Rebbe comes to Iker. From here to the end of the Sikha, the Rebbe discusses how Tazria and Mitzayre is Golus and Gola. Just bekitzer, to review the point that the Rebbe said regarding the names of the Pasha. Pasha's Tazria speaks about all the halachas of the actual nega and the tumah. And nevertheless, the name of the Pasha is Tazria, which means a new birth. Pasha's Mitzayre is the Pasha that discusses the Tara of the Mitzayre. And nevertheless, the name of the Pasha is Mitzayre, which refers to the problem that is a Mitzayre, the tumah. So the Rebbe explains that the point of Pasha's Tazria, the name, proves and makes the point that the tzaras is not just a punishment. The tzaras is a healing. The name of the Pasha is Tazria, that this is a new growth, a new birth. Mitzayre Choshev Kemeis, because it's a new birth. And the name of Pasha's Mitzayre is Dafke Mitzayre, in order to make the point that that birth comes from the actual tzaras itself. The tzaras creates that new birth. Therefore, the name of the Pasha is Mitzayre. Okay, that's an Akud of the Indian.
No,
Everyone's good. Everyone has a place.
Everybody's fine.
Baruch Hashem, it's too many people. Everyone's fighting where to sit. Okay. Sivches. Golus and Gola. You ready? We're not ready for Golus. We're ready for Gola. Yeah. Kishain vidas is benegeya mitzayre prati. Like everything explained there regarding a individual mitzayre. Al derech zeh is move on benegeya klolis am Yisrael was gefinnen dig sich in Golus zene niden in amay mit der matze von bodot yeshev mechutz lamachn meshavei. Klal Yisrael in general, the condition of Klal Yisrael in the time of Golus is like a mitzayre that is outside and is left to be alone. So the Rebbe brings that the source of everything that's going to be explained there in the Sikha from here forward is in the Medrash. Take a look in Order 56. Rei vayikra Rabbi Seif Parshi Zayin the Dorish Kola Parsha Benige Batim. He darshans the whole Parsha that speaks about a nega and the bias in the house Al Churban Beis Hamikdash. Va'amo Hagli Lebava Chulu. My people have been exiled to Bavel. So we clearly see the Medrash already says this point that Negoyim, or at least Nige Batim, refers to the bias of the Beis HaMikdash. Now, the Aveda for Yidden Bizman HaGolos is an inyan from Tazria. All the Aveda done today, seemingly it's a compromised Aveda. We don't have the same level of connection. We don't have the same level of feeling and understanding. But yet, this entire Aveda is really a Aveda of growth. Azriye v'hechrech l'tzmichas v'azcholos atzmiche bizman from the Gula. It's like when you take a seed and you plant it in the ground. What happens when you're planting the seed? First of all, there's only a seed. You don't see the whole big, beautiful tree that's here. Second of all, when you plant it in the ground, it's work. It takes hard work to plow and to prepare, and with rain, and then the seed in the ground rots. You don't see any growth. You don't see any sign of life. On the contrary, it seems like that it's a situation which is disconnected from any growth or life. Yet, that Zriya is the source and the cause for the beautiful tree that's going to grow. So in Golos, the matzav of Yidden serving the Eibusha that seems to be a Aveda in Choshech, in darkness, is actually a planting process. It's a Zriya and it's a Hechrich. This is the only way to get to the growth that comes in the Geula. The Tzmiche, the Rebbe says it, V'hechrich l'tzmiche v'ascholos atzmiche from the Zman HaGula. The Alter Rebbe sagt in Tanya, the famous statement of the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, as the Giluyim G'la'asid, all revelations in the future when Moshiach comes, zenen tolui b'maseinu v'avidiseinu kol zman meshach hagolos. This is what it's contingent upon. Alter Rebbe is medayik, and the Rebbe highlights the word tolui. He doesn't say that this adds, or this will hasten the coming of Moshiach, or this could play a role. Alter Rebbe uses the lashon tolui. This is what it depends on. Without this, Moshiach can't come. Ki agayrim, schara mitzvah, what brings about the reward of the mitzvah, which is the coming of Moshiach, hi mitzvah ba'atzma. a mitzvah atzma, the mitzvah which is the Aveda in the time of Golus. Das heißt, as das, was es tut sich häufig, Moshiach et Chias HaMeisim, whatever levels of revelation will be in the days of Moshiach and then in the next period, in the time of Chias HaMeisim, which is years later, is nit kein bazunde Zach von Inyan HaGolus. It's not a separate time period that follows after Golus, not associated to the condition of Golus. No, das ist the smicha. This is the growth. Was wächst aus von Avedas Hazriya Bisman Golus, from the actual Aveda and the planting of Golus. Gola is just revealing what we have planted in the time of Golus. Famous word that the Rebbe says in other places, I don't think the Rebbe brings it here, in this Sikha, is that the difference between the word Gola and Goula is the Aleph, meaning that the Pnimi is the Golus itself, is a planting. It's planting. Elamai, when you plant, it's not yet developed. But once it develops, what's developed? That nukuda, the kernel or the seed that's there before, is now developed and expressed. That's what the revelation of the Gula is. Das is the hira. So now we get to a deeper lesson that we can learn here from the Shemis Hasedris Tazriya U'Mitzeire Ba'Avedas Kalech. How we could apply the names of these two parshas as it relates to the Aveda and Golus for every Yid. A Yid darf lernen Teire Mekayim sei Mitzvahs mit Kabbalah sel. So the first fundamental point here is a Yid that learns Teire and does a mitzvah, it's not for any kind of gain. No personal gain, no physical gain, no spiritual gain, for nothing. Just Kabbalah sel. Simply because this is what Hashem wants, this is what He told us, and this is what we do. So that's a foundation that is we know. Now, because of this, can it trachten as kein nafgeminnet klar was the Aveda tutov? If that's the case, what the result of my Aveda will be, what it will accomplish, doesn't matter. Because it's not only that you don't serve Hashem for your own personal gain. You don't serve Hashem thinking, what am I accomplishing by this? What is this mitzvah bringing to? It's not negay, it doesn't matter. You just do it b'kabbalah sel. The Rabbi here in Order 59 brings the very well-known Lashon that the Alter Rebbe says about the attitude of the Yid is supposed to have when you do a mitzvah. A Yid's attitude in doing a mitzvah should be no different if he would be commanded to chop wood. Chop wood for what? What concept is there here? What content, what revelation, what Inyan? Nothing, there's no Inyan. Just to stand and chop wood. Why? This is what he said. That's the attitude of a Yid in a mitzvah. So if that's the case, doesn't matter what comes out of it, what you're accomplishing, l'chayr or not. So here comes the lesson and tells us, as of them, the hayra, as biyachad the manal, even if it is true, we're not negating the previous point, meaning the foundation of a Yid's Aveda is the Kabbalah sel, to not question anything, is in Maseinu, Avedaseinu, from Zmana Golos, yet at the same time though, in all of the Aveda that we do now in Golos, darf the head werden, a Yid should experience and sense what this is about. As das is an Inyan from Tazriya, was bringt it smiche, the Gilui from Moshiach Tzidkenu. That the point of our Aveda today is planting seeds in order to bring the process of the growth that comes in the coming of Moshiach. That has to be part of our awareness in our Aveda. It's not just a fact, but it's actually, if it's the name of the parsha, it's a hira in our attitude in the mitzvah that we do. That a Yid, when he does a mitzvah, on one hand, you do the mitzvah with a full dedication, not questioning what the point is, and he's not only doing it motivated to reach and to accomplish that point, on one hand, but at the same time, though, it's necessary for a Yid to focus and know this gufa as well, that my Aveda today is a planting, and it brings the growth of the Gula Sida. Tzemach Dovid Avdecha, also the same, Tzmicha, yeah, the same Inyan, correct. Ubemele, as the Giluyim de la said, they nitken bazunde Inyan. All revelations in the future are not a separate thing that comes in a new time. Not a hemshech, v'toitzah from the Aveda. It's a continuation and a growth and outcome from our Aveda, from Golus. Al derech, Tazriya Mitzvah Kanal explained regarding the names of the Parsha. The tzmicha was kommt from the Aveda in Golus. This is the growth of the Aveda that we do today. Okay, what's the point of this Inyan that the Rebbe is explaining here? Why is it negaya that a Yid should have this kavana, that a Yid should be aware of this? The idea of Kabbalah soil is that a Yid does it without questioning. That is the deepest bittul, the deepest connection to Hashem, doing it just for the sake of the will of Hashem, not having anything in mind that will come from it. But at the same time, the Rebbe says, not minimizing that full dedication, it's also necessary for a Yid to know that what I'm doing today is a preparation for Moshiach. There's a famous Taish that the Rebbe brought. They say that, I think that's in the name of the Rebbe's father. Mashiach means the entire life of a person is to serve the Eibishter in order to bring Mashiach. Meaning that is what the person focuses on. Every additional mitzvah that he does, every other chesed that he does, everything he does is with the kavanah. That I'm bringing Mashiach closer. So it's not stam a fact. It's actually the attitude and the kavanah in our Veda. What's the value of this? What's the inyan of this? Let's see in the Hemshcha L'Sicha. I hope. Yeah, let's see what the Rebbe says. Now, and then verbund, a step further, Siftes, yeah? And then verbund von der Aveda bis man Agolus Tazriya, mit Bias HaMashiach Mitzayre, understanding this point, that our Aveda today and the outcome, the coming of Mashiach, that it's connected, it's not just two separate time periods, but the Aveda of Golus is the plant that brings the growth of Mashiach, and Rabadok Kamaifana. This could be explained in the attitude of a person in this could be to various degrees. Afal Pi. So the Rebbe begins to explain as follows. Afal Pi as the Yid is Maimin in Bias HaMashiach. This is the faith that every Yid naturally has in the coming of Mashiach. Just like a Yid has an Amunah in the Eibishter, and that's the Amunah that's there built into the Neshama of a Yid. The Amunah in Bias HaMashiach, the Rebbe says, is also by every single Yid. And not only that, every Yid awaits the coming of Mashiach. Und das ist ein Yisoid, von der Yisoid ist eine Amunah, und welche alle Yidden sind gleich. This is a fundamental of our faith. Here, all Yidden are the same. This itself is a very powerful point that the Rebbe is saying here. We know what the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that every Yid has a Ava Mesateres, every Yid has a hidden love for Hashem, and every Yid, regardless of his level of knowledge, has the simple Amunah in the Eibishter. Right? That's the Neshama. Here the Rebbe is saying that concept applies also to Amunah and Mashiach. Even a Yid that doesn't realize it and doesn't understand what this is about, a Yid be'etzem be'teva has the Amunah Mashiach. Why is this? What's the reason for this? Because what's the concept of Mashiach based on? The concept of Mashiach is based on the fact, Einoid Mulvadai. If you believe in Hashem be'emes, and that's the natural belief of the Neshama, that the Neshama believes that Hashem is the real and only existence and everything else is bottled to Him and it's all the Eibishter, so then the fact that we live in a world that we see it as a separate entity that lives and goes and functions with its own nature, it must be that this is something that's temporary, that's leading to the proper and right existence, which is when everything will be revealed, the truth of Hashem, which is in essence true, and the Neshama senses that will be revealed. So the same Inyan, the same koyach of the Neshama that senses the truth of Hashem and senses the Einoid Mulvadai, the Derech Memela senses that Golus is a temporary situation. This sheker of Golus cannot be where it's at. This has to be leading up to something else. It's a certain existence which has a kavanah to come and reveal the real truth of the Eibishter. If not, chas v'shalom, and Golus is chas v'shalom where it's at, so then what that means is that the person is thinking and saying to himself that there's something that exists that does not express the Eibishter, because there's an existence of Golus that exists disconnected, and it's not here for a purpose. It's not a step leading to the revelation of the Eibishter. So a neshama can't believe that. A neshama that naturally believes in the Einoid Mulvada of the Eibishter will also automatically and naturally believe that the whole matzav of Golos is a necessary step to come to the Gula. So therefore, this is the simple faith that there is by every Yid in the Gula Mitzvah Shlema. Okay, so there all Yidden are equal. However, kann aber sein a chiluk, bei wie viel das ist verbunden mit Limudat Teire, wie kima mitzvahs, mit Masen, bei der Sene von der Yidden. To what extent that Emunah Mashiach, how much is that infused in a Yid's Aveda? When he does a mitzvah, when he learns a word of Teire, that belief in Mashiach, what role does it play in his Aveda, in his daily Aveda Hashem? Now, I can learn in Teire on Mekayim Zayin mitzvahs. So there's one Yid that learns Teire and fulfills mitzvahs, wissendig, as das ist Tazriya, knowing that this is planting a seed, as das bringt Mashiach, that this will bring Mashiach. Aber zu ihm, zu seiner Aveda hat es nicht. But it doesn't necessarily mean, though, that this is the motive of his Aveda and this is the life and what he's doing. Because Aleph, number one, Nitzalib them learned Torah on his Makai mitzvahs. Not necessarily is this the motive of why he's learning Torah or doing a mitzvah. He's learning Torah because for whatever reason. It could be for Kabbalah Soil, that's the purest reason. Or it could be because he enjoys learning Torah. Or he's doing a mitzvah. So there are two facts that he knows. He knows the fact that the belief in Moshiach. He knows the inyan of mitzvahs and Torah. And he also actually knows the fact that Torah or mitzvahs causes Moshiach to come quicker. But it doesn't necessarily mean that by the individual, by this person, he's fulfilling his motive of fulfilling the Torah mitzvahs is for that reason, because he wants to bring Moshiach quicker. Avdafke. And Bey is another point. Im atnit as the geule vet sein in ashpeten de gezman. He's not bothered by the fact that Moshiach is not coming right now. What happens if he comes tomorrow? Chas v'shalom. In azman shpeter, if he'll come in a later time. And now the Rebbe says the Remez, the connection to the Kiriyas Metzayre b'shvuah b'fnei atzmai. Metzayre, which hints to Mashiach. If you read it, it'll be next week. Biz and another dor chas v'shalom, or God forbid if Mashiach will come in another generation. He has that munah. He has a munah Mashiach, and could even be mechaka lebiyasei. The Rebbe said before also mechaka lebiyasei. But that mechaka lebiyasei doesn't necessarily mean immediate. Give me some time. Right now, life is good. Maybe in a year from now, chas v'shalom, or in another generation, when things will get more desperate, maybe then is the right time for Mashiach to come. He's not waiting for him to come today. He's satisfied and he feels content with the fact that he has the ability to learn Torah today. He's Mekayim mitzvahs. I can do mitzvahs as well. And meanwhile, he's planting a lot of seeds, and he's enjoying this Aveda, planting all these seeds in the time of Golus. Okay, so in other words, what you see here in Beis, what the Rebbe is saying in Beis is the individual that does do the Torah mitzvahs with the motive to bring Mashiach, because he views his Torah mitzvahs as a zriyah. It is for that purpose. But became even a person that's planting a field, it's not necessarily that he's expecting that the field is going to grow tomorrow. The field is going to give him the produce in 5 months from now, or maybe what the work he's doing today in the field is for next year. He's not even planting this year. Even if he does Torah mitzvahs with the kavanah because he wants to bring Mashiach, but to bring Mashiach now, give me tomorrow, chas v'shalom also, can bring Mashiach in a later time. So here the lesson is that most years Tazriya and Tzayre are together. On a klal gadol b'Torah is shalarev tedaber. Torah says things and defines things according to the way it is in the majority. When adin ikri ba'alocha l'maisa b'poyel is, and in halacha l'maisa, whenever there's a situation of a suffix and you have a doubt, so what do? Is azlina basaruba. You follow the majority. Right? This is the halacha. So therefore what we learn over here is, as Dav Zayin, the chibur from Tazriya, which is Golus, and Mitzayre, which is Geula. On Azay B'Shleimus, you have to unify them together as one completely. And that is as Minig Yisrael, Lumetum, just like with these two parshas, what's Minig Yisrael? As Mefreg, B'yayim Rishon from the Vach, or the B'shara Yama from Velach Vach, is the Emphe B'Pashtus, from Parshas Tazriya Mitzayre. Even on a Sunday, you ask someone, so what's the parsha this week? This is a Sunday of which parsha? It's the Sunday of Tazriya Mitzayre together. And what this means is, sein Aveda in Golos darf sein durchgenommen mit der ständige Zepie. Yid Aveda in Golos has to be completely infused and permeated with the constant desire and waiting und Strebung, and to strive to the Gola. That everything he's doing in his Aveda is all striving for Gola. And that's the meaning of Achak Eloi b'chol yom sheyavai. Every day. It's not an Aveda that sometimes a person wakes up and remembers, Gola would be much better than Golos. No, maybe you should come already. No, b'chol yom, every single day. This is what the tzipi of a Yid is. On vibal tazanim evreisi l'shamash eskaini, a Yid is serving the Eibishter constantly. That's his whole existence. Das ist die Aveda von dem Yidden kol hayom, the entire day. Härter in sein Kiyam HaTorah Mitzvahs, als das bringt und ist Mamai der Gola. So therefore, in everything that he does from morning till night, every single day, it's constantly infused with this one motive and yearning and belief and working towards the fact that this Aveda that he's doing brings Moshiach. That's the attitude of a Yid. Okay, let's see. The Rebbe's Mitzayin here, the source for this, Order 62. Reb Sikte Rabbe, or Sikte Rabossi, that is. Reish Perik Lamed Vav. Eiza Oir, Shekinasta Yisrael, Shekinesses Yisrael, that is, Mitzape, 62.
62. Oh. Okay, 72.
Eiza Oir, Shekinesses Yisrael, Mitzape. What's the light that Klal Yisrael is awaiting for? Zeh Oire Shel Mashiach. Yidden are waiting for the light of Mashiach. And the Rebbe highlights the word Mitzape. Mitzape is I'm not sure exactly how to translate the difference between a chake and mitzape. I think mitzape might be a stronger expression than a chake. Mitzape, tzipiyah sounds like a stronger expression than mechake. I don't know. You have the translation there. What's stronger? Mitzape is tell me chake.
Sometimes you could be in your stuff doing, but you mechake. But when mitzape is like all the time, you're not leaving your
totally focused, completely
your focus all the time on it.
Mechake for the bus?
Chake is more passive.
Expecting.
Chake is expecting, no? And mitzape.
Expecting somebody.
Okay. So mitzape is a stronger lashon. So why does it say achakale b'chol yom she'yaveh? Here it says mitzape. The Gemara.
Like you're looking outside, you're waiting. It's not like you're
Mechake b'chol yom. So it means that it's continuous.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I have to check it up. I see it.
Wait, look forward.
Check that out.
Interesting situation.
Look out.
Yeah, that was a state that. Yeah, so the Rebbe is saying it to Rashi Shabbos Lamed Aleph Aleph. It says there, Tzipisa Yeshua. This is one of the questions. Yeah, when the neshama comes up l'mayla, the neshama is asked, it's Tzipisa Yeshua. Was he mitzapel Yeshua? So this is in Shabbos of Lamed Aleph. So the Rebbe here says that there's a tzarachin in the Rashi there. What's the tzarachin in the Rashi? So if I could bring up the Rashi here right now, I'll show you what the tzara was received, what tzarachin in the Rashi over here is. Just a second. This is over there. The Gemara brings a story with Hillel and Shammai, the person that wanted to be Megayer. Okay, so the Gemara here says, Azai. Like you said, and then Tzipisa Yeshua. There's more, but Tzipisa Yeshua. So Rashi on Tzipisa Yeshua says the Divrei Anavim. The Divrei Anavim means, did you wait for the Yeshua of what it says in the words of the Nevi'im? So Lav Dafke, Rashi is even talking about Moshiach, but the Lashon Tzipisa Yeshua, Lav Dafke is speaking about Moshiach. It could be, but it's not this. I don't know if that's a simple pshat of the Rashi. Is just saying, did you wait for the Yeshua that the da wissen was Rashi meint?
It looks like Rashi.
Was Rashi sagt that?
What Rebbe is saying here doesn't.
Correct, because tzipisa, the real tzipia of a yid is only Mashiach. So if I was Dr. Rashi Nevi'im, Rashi should say tzipisa of Mashiach.
The mainstay of all the Nevi'im, the main message is Mashiach.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so maybe Rashi means that also.
The Rambam says,
Yeah, correct. That's what's interesting, Rashi. This is tzipisa of Yeshua, in the Divrei Nevi'im. Okay. Yeah.
The
The what?
I'm going to go to my last 3 questions.
No, here it says more.